Hello, welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet fan podcast presented by ToughPigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters, from the most popular to the most obscure. I'm this week's host, Becca Petunia, and the Muppet of the Week is Yolanda the Rat, originally performed by Karen Prell and currently performed by Julianne Busher, making her world debut 40 years ago in 1984's The Muppets Take Manhattan. My guest today is a wonderful puppeteer and a good friend from Puppet Up, The Creatures of Yes, and Being Lips's Legs That One Time. It's Stoph Scheer.
Hello, Becca. It's such a pleasure to be on your illustrious podcast.
And how are you doing? How are you doing, Stoph?
Oh, I'm just peachy. Yeah, excited to talk about Muppets. Resting for a day at my parents' house on Long Island before some gigs in the city.
We're really glad you could make time. You could make time for us here because I'm really excited that you're here for this one. Because personally, Yolanda is one of my favorite characters because she's a very rare thing, a recurring female Muppet. And that's very important to me, and I assume also to you, because we are women who like the Muppets. So
Yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
important to see that. So I'm really excited to talk to you because, not only are you a woman who likes the Muppets, but you're also a woman who's a puppeteer. Because I think this is a good way to talk a little bit about whether we think Yolanda works as one of the only female Muppets, and how the
Yeah.
Muppets can maybe do more with female characters moving forward.
Yeah.
Like I said, Yolanda's first appearance is in The Muppets Take Manhattan. She gets hired by Pete's Luncheonette. She's part of a group of rats that
Yeah.
Rizzo hires to work there. And she's Karen Prell in that, one of the few Karen Prell voice roles with the Muppet Show gang.
Hmm.
And the thing about her there is she's got almost no lines in the movie at all. But to be fair, none of the rats who aren't named Rizzo really do. And one of the first things that happens in that is Rizzo talks about how great Yolanda's body is. And I know we talked a little bit about this stuff off mic, or we talked about this weeks ago when we last spoke, but
Oh, yes.
but it's so funny that that's like the first Yolanda joke, because there's a part of me that sits here and is like, well, I don't like that joke because I don't like it when people just comment on a woman's body. But also, it's a pretty
Yeah.
funny joke because Yolanda looks the exact same as Rizzo, except with a blonde wig.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, right. Well, and that's like a harbinger for some of the stuff that I saw in the clips you shared with me of Yolanda on ABC's The Muppets, where there you see some like very non-feminist TV tropes, but they're almost always could be argued to be satires of that in the same way that that first bit is of like, oh, he's objectifying a woman, but actually that's very funny. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, we'll get to that in 1 second because, after that, Yolanda didn't appear a ton. She shows up in group scenes, like the Muppets a celebration of 30 years. There's a brief bit of a Viewmaster video game with Yolanda. That's something that existed.
I
And
want to play that.
And then Julianne Busher performed Yolanda for the first time in Muppet Classic Theater, which I didn't
Mm.
tell you to watch because not a lot. She doesn't do a lot in Muppet Classic Theater. She's Rizzo's sidekick. Rizzo is in the Emperor's New Clothes segment is trying to like.
Selling to Fozzie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't Fozzie the emperor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I prepared for this podcast by watching that VHS my entire
Yeah, I was gonna
childhood.
say, I assume you've seen it because you're my age.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
that VHS was everywhere, everywhere in the 90s.
Yeah, it turned me trans.
Hmm. Look, okay, on this podcast, we have two people who watch that VHS and two people who are trans. So that's kind of
Yeah.
definitive proof.
I would say correlation does equal causation in this
It's
case.
true. But she's in that, but she doesn't have a ton of like solo lines that are worth really commenting on. I rewatched it and I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, not a ton to talk about here, but it's important because it's Julianne Busher's first real time playing Yolanda
Ooh.
that Julianne would continue doing um, in the Muppets 2015 sitcom for ABC, which is what I really wanted to focus on because Yolanda basically at that point goes from like background character to like I would argue one of the core cast members. She's Kermit's assistant in that. Um like Kermit's executive assistant and really is one of the characters along with Uncle Deadly who really gets fleshed out in this show in a
Yeah.
way that we didn't
Yeah.
see in, her like two lines in Muppets Take Manhattan and her two lines in Muppet Classic
Hmm.
Theater. And, there aren't that many lines in this Viewmaster video game, and either way, no one played it. So the question is like, yeah, what did you think of her in Muppets 2015? Because I told you which clips to watch. I made your life easier by telling you which which scenes had Yolanda in them. What did you
Yes,
think?
yes. You know, I I really enjoyed Yolanda. I really enjoyed the opportunity to focus on Yolanda. And yeah, while while like you said, it's still not the most material. I mean, it is quite a lot of scenes she's in, and she has some key lines. And sometimes she's just delivering exposition, and sometimes she's just playing on like uh female Muppet tropes. But there's other times where, things like her what's the medical thing she's studying to be an ultrasound technician.
One of my favorite lines in the whole show, because I'll tell you, to
Yeah.
tell you what clips to watch meant that I had to rewatch the entire show.
Ah.
Except weirdly, episode 8, which apparently, according to Muppet Wiki, has zero Yolanda. So I didn't rewatch episode 8. But
Maybe
anyway,
that's when she was in Jamaica.
yes. But anyway, that line was one of the first times like I laughed out loud in this rewatch was when she's like, "Sure, you never ask Yolanda how you're doing. I am Yolanda, how's your night classes studying to be an ultrasound technician?" It's just so funny the level of specificity to it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Right. I mean, specificity, yes, she has a B average.
yes, yes, she then adds that she has a B average.
Yeah. No, it's and so there's that's there's other moments, and that might be one of the best of them, where you just, even though it's just a hint at a greater like dimensionality of character, it makes you think, if that detail is that specific, what else is going on in her life? This isn't just somebody bringing lattes to Piggy. Like, she's dating a possum and she has to break up with him, and she has like more relationship with Rizzo off stage than on stage.
A lot of it does deal with relationships, which again does feel kind of like one of those tropes that like the female character needs to just talk about relationships. Although admittedly on that
Yeah,
show, there was a lot of that from all of the Muppets, I feel like, because it kind of
right.
all centered around Kermit's dating life. And there's a little bit of Yolanda
Yeah.
making fun of Kermit's dating life in what we watched. Um,
Yeah.
but like I did love one of the things that I think can't be overstated is Yolanda has a great voice. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
we both grew up in the New York metropolitan area. So I love Yolanda's kind of parody of that voice, which is basically just like girl Rizzo voice, right? Like it's really like the same voice Rizzo has, but done by a woman.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So many Muppets are from New York, apparently.
And I just love that voice, and especially when she's talking about the possum, and she's like, he's disgusting. Not because he's a possum, but because he works in advertising. The way she says
Yeah.
advertising is so funny to me. And
Yeah.
yeah, so there was the possum. She also mentions having dated a parrot named Eric, which is the name of the parrot on the Muppet Show. There was a parrot named Eric, so I don't know, maybe.
Oh my gosh, probably.
Rewatch the John Cleese episode. The parrot's name is Eric in that.
Oh,
Um,
well, I know what I'm doing after this podcast.
now there you go. It's a good
Trying to do
episode.
that and then falling asleep.
It's a good episode. I mean,
Oh, I love it. I love that he doesn't want to sing and they make that into the thing.
yes. Oh, again, I think that was the first episode that I showed that I used to show that to non-Muppet fans to like help them understand what the Muppets were about that
It's an
episode.
iconic, yeah, it's an iconic episode. John Cleese was such a giant influence on me. I wish he had different views on trans people.
Yeah, I was about to say, but anyway, Yolanda's not in that episode. So we're not
Yeah,
going to
and
talk
we all
about.
know that Yolanda is in favor of trans rights.
Sure, we can just infer that because she was in Muppet Classic Theater, the VHS that made us both trans.
The one that makes you trans. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Everyone who watched it is trans now.
Yeah, we have a sample size of two and it works out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yes,
Science.
so I loved that voice. But again, there is a lot of it feels like focus on some of those, like you said, like female tropes. She talks a lot about again, like outside relationships
Yeah.
and like understanding love because she's a woman and like all of those different things. But I think one thing that I really appreciated about Yolanda was, this is something that I was thinking about when I was watching all of the Muppets 2015 to prepare for this podcast, is like on the Muppets 2015, this ABC show, a lot of people sort of complained about the show because the Muppets were like grouchy and didn't like their jobs and all of those things, and like that was like a big theme that Kermit was always upset. I kind of like though that Yolanda is a character who gets to be upset and hate all of these different things and be sarcastic about it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, she's great on the show. Absolutely.
I think that really works for her. There's the scene where Kermit is like, Scooter, you're in charge and feel free to use my assistant. And Yolanda's like, yeah,
Oh,
thanks. I love being passed around to whatever rando you want to give me to.
yeah,
And
that was edgy. I was like, oh my gosh.
yeah, that was a great like that's a great line. I loved that level of like sarcasm that they kind of let her get away with. And again, it didn't feel wrong because there was so little to Yolanda's character before this other than like she was the girl who Rizzo knew that like I'm like, yeah. She hates her job. She's dreaming of better things. She's dreaming of being an ultrasound technician. And her dream is
Yeah.
not even like a ridiculous, unachievable dream, like becoming like, a movie star. It's like, no, I want to be not even a doctor. I want to be an ultrasound technician.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and they, in a sense, you can't say she's not a secondary character. And in a sense, they're milking that because being secondary gives her this incredible freedom of not having stakes in the main story. Like there's one or two clips where she's like, interestingly being really assertive with Kermit and being like, you have to take care of this problem with Miss Piggy. And that's very interesting in and of itself that she's being powerful, but also, it stands out because that's not her normal thing. Normally she like clearly has her own life drama going on and does not care about the A plot or B plot of what's happening at work. And that it just gives her like, yeah, a little freedom to be more of like a deliverer of non sequiturs and an agent of chaos in a way that's like so fun and makes you want more Yolanda.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I always think there was like just the right amount of it. And there's a couple of times where it feels like they tried to give her more of a plot line. The Christmas episode with the Secret Santa, which
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, but it is kind of almost weird that everybody's like, yeah, we're fine with you. So for those of you who haven't rewatched The Muppets 2015 5 minutes ago,
And
um,
if you haven't, are you really fans? Are
it's
you?
true.
I
It's
don't know.
true. Are you? Are you? Are you fans of
You're
Yolanda?
not. You're not. You don't even know Yolanda.
But there's a subplot in the Christmas episode, and it's the C plot of that episode. There's a million other things.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, but she rigs Secret Santa so every Muppet has her for Secret Santa as payback for them forgetting to include her the year before, which is a nice kind of bit of meta commentary to that too, because like payback for them never including Yolanda between Muppets Take Manhattan and this show, which, came out 29 years later. Um,
yeah.
but but then it is a little weird because when the other Muppets figure out that she tricked them and they all bought her a present as opposed to buying each other presents, they're like, yeah, this is fair because we forgot you last year. And I don't know, I find it hard to believe that all of the Muppets would be so in on that. Maybe someone like Fozzie or Kermit would, but like,
Yeah. You know what? I found myself wondering watching this show, and maybe this is a dead end because I don't know. I know kind of the point of ABC's The Muppets was that it was like the Muppets doing realism or a form of realism, but it's very heightened realism, of course. And I find myself thinking about the theory that nothing outside of the Muppet Show is canon. You know, that theory that like everything else is them playing a version of
oh, of
themselves.
course I know. Come on, I'm me.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry for transplaining it to you. So, I think about that and I'm like, I look at Yolanda and it's like, is she really going through so many different relationships and intermittently dating Rizzo? Or is it just whichever is more convenient to this moment is the one that's true at that moment? Like that's the version of reality that's being played there. And this isn't just Yolanda, it's like everybody being in on the Christmas thing. Like you were just like, that's inconsistent for some of their characters that they'd be like, well, you do deserve all these presents. Like, why is Uncle Deadly saying that? But I think it's like because it serves the plot, and like, are they leaning into that on purpose of just like, we don't need to be consistent? I don't know. Is that
I
anything?
I feel like part of it, I see exactly what you're saying, and I think that that's a lot of it too. And again, part of the problem is we don't, if that theory is true, then we literally don't know Yolanda's life because Yolanda wasn't on The Muppet Show. She debuted in 1984 after
She can stay chaos
I
forever.
know,
Oh my gosh,
exactly.
she's chaotic neutral. Okay, now I I was already admiring Yolanda. Now I'm like, yeah, team Yolanda.
Because Muppets Take Manhattan is clearly like just a movie because it suggests that the Muppets graduated college together and then went to Broadway. So I always assumed that it was a movie the Muppets are performing, but that doesn't necessarily tell us about Yolanda.
The Muppets made me think that if you knew anybody for long enough, then you retroactively went to college with them, and subsequent to that, your roots start to stretch back further until you were babies together.
Yeah,
But this doesn't have to be true. I think the Muppets destroyed my sense of linear time, actually.
well, it is true. It is true stuff because we started talking like what, 3 years ago. But also,
Yeah.
remember when we were in a nursery together and we would use our imagination to pretend that we were in Star Trek or whatever?
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, that did, that did happen. You're right.
And then we
Wow.
went then we went to college together and then we went to Broadway together.
Oh yeah, and we put on that show. Oh gosh. Okay. No, yeah, you're right. Okay. Thank you, the Muppets. You prepared me for exactly how things would go in retrospect.
Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to address from what you said before is like, I want to talk a little bit about the relationship with Rizzo because I feel like that's one thing that absolutely I didn't like anytime it showed up.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing that maybe needed the most rewriting and possibly needed more women in the writers' room, which I can say because that show is over, so whatever. But like, so the thing with Rizzo is like, Rizzo apparently regularly hits on Yolanda in ways that Yolanda does not like. We're told repeatedly that Yolanda doesn't like it. In the literal first line that she has in the series, Rizzo is hitting on her using the tragic death of an animal to like ask Yolanda for comfort, and Yolanda's like, "Are you using this tragedy to hit on me?" And Rizzo's like, "Well, is it working?" And we also are told later, and I do want to say, Stoph just laughed at that. So, like, there is something that's funny to that. I'm not gonna lie. But also, like,
Yeah.
there's also something that isn't funny. And later we're even told that Rizzo apparently does this. Kermit says, like, it's nice to go a day without Yolanda filing a complaint against Rizzo to HR. And that made me really uncomfortable because it also
Well, how
made me, I mean, it makes, if it's true, it makes me really not like Rizzo, a character who I do really
yeah.
like. But
Yeah, I don't want to Me Too, Rizzo.
yeah, I don't want to Me Too Rizzo. He's
Um
nice. He's here on my desk.
oh, let me see your Rizzo. Oh, wait.
He's
Oh,
holding,
is that a Palisades Rizzo?
no, this is Diamond Select Rizzo. The Diamond Select ones were
Oh.
good too. People don't talk about them enough, but yeah, I've got a Rizzo right here, and he's holding the mug that came with Working Woman Barbie. But
Oh.
it's the perfect size for Rizzo. Um,
Nice.
but anyway, I like Rizzo, and I don't want to think that Rizzo would do that, and I don't want to be like, well, maybe Yolanda is being dramatic because I want to believe women, right? That's
Yeah, well, I feel the believe women thing, and I'll admit that I had the question too, because I actually, Becca, I don't know if you can fill in any blanks for me because you watched everything and I just watched the clips. Is like the clip before Kermit says that about Yolanda filing reports about Rizzo is like the clip we see where they're like the most in love. Like she's like really excited about this gift that he got her and he's being really romantic and it's everything's so clearly consensual. So
well,
like,
the order of clips, right? The one you're talking about where she gets him a gift is literally the last we see of Yolanda on this show. And for what it's worth, basically the last we ever see Yolanda. She has one line in Muppet's Haunted Mansion, and I truly can't think of anything else notable she did
We gotta
after.
bring back
I
Yolanda.
know. Well, I can see that that's where we're both coming down here. But, the thing is, like, that the order of things is like, we're told, in the first episode, she isn't interested in Rizzo, but then later in the episode, we see her and Rizzo on a date in the studio.
Yeah.
And then in that, she's in love with Rizzo for the first time because Rizzo has nice clothes on. And
Oh yeah,
she
yeah.
says, "Oh, Rizzo, you have such nice clothes on now. It's like you either got richer or taller." And now she loves him, or she's attracted to him. And Rizzo is like, "The girl of my dreams, just talk to me."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then Kermit is like, "Wow, I guess Rizzo and Yolanda are getting along, and I don't have to hear all of her HR complaints." Was
Okay. So it is a comment on the fact that I didn't understand it. He was like saying it because now they're together.
Yeah, or at least now she seems attracted to him. And then in the last episode is the one where he gets Bubba, the large rat
Oh yeah, yeah.
From Muppets from Space. He gets Bubba to bring her a ring with blood on it that she wears as a
Yeah.
bracelet. And that getting a ring seems to be what like clinches Rizzo in her mind as like a partner. At least that's what it seems. We never see a follow-up to that again because the show got canceled immediately after that.
I mean, the first person who ever got me a ring, like they can do whatever they want to me. Like,
But yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where like I get it, and I think it's fun that Yolanda is kind of very shallow. You know, like I like that as like a negative character trait that is funny,
yeah.
but also like I don't know, it just makes me feel weird things about Rizzo.
Yeah, I don't want to I'm not changing the subject to take the heat off of Rizzo, but this is one of the things where I'm like, it's interesting when you just get these tiny little tidbits of a character. We don't get to see the whole arc because this is like nearly always the C plot, right? Like
Yeah,
it's rarely a full-on B plot. So there's a C plot with like maybe only two moments, maybe three moments. And we're seeing her in such wildly different dynamics with Rizzo from being like, "Hey, really, are you asking me out?" Then like flirting with him on the date, and then like, you know, there being jokes that she never hits on him, so it's so rare that she does. And, I don't know. It's like depending on whatever joke they want to tell, like they're together or they're not. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing in the writing. I'm saying to me that's interesting if that's the case that they're like, but it's like I don't know, the ambiguity itself is delicious that we don't know. Is there a whole arc going on when the camera isn't on these two for like the other 20 minutes of this episode?
that's fair. It's
Um
it's it's an interesting thing that again the show doesn't really explore. And like you said, it's kind of nice that the show doesn't explore that because it
it gives it
lets
depth.
it lets Yolanda mostly exist to be funny. And like we said, like she is very
Yeah.
funny. And I like that she is, flawed and makes bad choices in love because that leads to funny plots and funny jokes.
Yeah, yeah. You could also make a parallel to between them and like Kermit and Miss Piggy on
Yes,
the
and
Muppet
I
Show.
I think that's what they were trying to do too. I think
Hmm.
just the problem is again that I'm not sure that that works when you're trying to make this like the Muppets is reality and you need to figure that Yolanda makes complaints to HR. I feel like if you cut that line,
Yeah,
it fixes a lot. Because
yeah,
then it's more of like a flirty will they won't they kind of thing as opposed to like the very real problem of a coworker hitting on you when you tell that coworker no and you get HR involved. So I feel like my problem is with
Hmm.
Kermit's line, not anything that Yolanda or Rizzo does on screen. Because we don't
Yeah.
really see Rizzo cross a line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all a lot on Rizzo, but let's start heading towards an ending here. So I think we have both ended this being big fans of Yolanda the Rat, and
Oh
I
yeah.
I would definitely love to see more of her in future things. Again, admittedly, Muppet things have become very few and far between these days, which is part of why
Mm.
she hasn't shown
Hmm.
up since Haunted Mansion. I mean, what have they done since Haunted Mansion? Muppets Mayhem, but there's only the Electric Mayhem in that. Like, it
Right.
wasn't going to be the Electric
Right.
Mayhem and Yolanda. And it's also interesting, because we've yet to see a recast for Rizzo. Would they let Yolanda exist in a world that doesn't have Rizzo? And honestly, I think she
Mm.
could.
Sure.
I think I
Yeah.
think there's more than enough there. So it'll be interesting to see. And again, it kind of depends on what else the Muppets even do moving forward. And Disney, I know you might be listening to this because this is we're doing this kind of with Disney. If you're listening, Disney, we would love to see more Yolanda. Um,
Hmm.
and you should put Muppet Classic Theater on Disney Plus so we can make more people trans.
Yeah, yeah. Wait, now that we're sincerely talking to Disney, should we stop emphasizing that the VHS of Muppet Classic Theater made us trans?
Yeah, let's drop that. But
Okay. It will, um, on behalf of the Walt Disney Corporation, we would like to make it clear that despite an alarmingly high correlation between seeing Muppet Classic Theater on VHS and becoming trans, despite that, there's no reason to think that it causes everyone to become trans. There may be people out there who didn't, and the Walt Disney Corporation just wanted you to know that.
Stoph, I think you've got a future on the Tough Pigs legal team, if you'd choose to take it. Um,
I know Joe from Legal.
it's true. And Joe from Tough Pigs, both. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but I guess the final thing that I wanted to say, like we said at the beginning, but like, what do you think? Like, I feel like there's maybe something to be said about the Muppets having more female characters in
Oh
general.
sure.
And I think Yolanda gets to do some fun things because she is kind of mean and sarcastic that like,
Mhm.
another character like Janice can't do. And it just kind of reminds me why it's so important to have many female characters.
Mm.
That it's
Mhm.
nice that Yolanda gets to have jokes that it doesn't feel like Miss Piggy could make or Janice could make or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And that's refreshing. And that's why it's kind of good to have lots of female characters.
yeah, totally.
And more female performers, more female writers, any of these things would absolutely help.
Oh yeah, and I mean I can say, as a kind of puppeteer on the ground in Los Angeles, I feel like the generation of puppeteers that I'm a part of that are starting to come up through the ranks with the Muppets and the Jim Henson Company. There are more women, for sure. Puppet Up recently had their first, at this point, there have been several, but I've been in a couple of shows where, there's as many women as there are men. And it's, exciting to, have those moments and to be moving forward like that. But yeah, like a lot of the young Muppet performers are women and queer and not white. And I think that, yeah, I'd say I mean, maybe not everyone, but I think most people would want the Muppets to kind of always be creatively expanding. Everyone was very excited that there were new characters on Muppets Mayhem. And everyone, I think there's always excitement among fans when there's new characters. So the fact that so many of the new puppeteers are women and other minorities, that totally, I think, creates the opportunity that whenever there is a chance to develop new characters, that more of them can be women.
Yeah. And I think that'd be for the best overall. So in conclusion, Yolanda is good. Uh Jury's still out on Rizzo. Yolanda's good. Jury's out on Rizzo, and we need more female characters. But
Believe Rizzo. Oh God, no, don't cancel me. Uh believe Muppets. I don't know. This is hard. Muppets
well,
aren't supposed to be like that.
I know, and that's why I don't like it. But speaking of,
I guess Animal was always like that, but that's different. He's not a person.
yeah, he gets away with it because he's kind of just a monster. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, speaking of, uh, queer puppeteers and female characters and stuff like that. Stoph, do you have anything?
Hmm.
Do you have anything you want to plug before we wrap up?
Oh, sure.
How'd you like that? How did you like that transition?
I, I'm in favor of all kinds of transitions, and that includes that one.
All right.
Um, Yeah. Thank you for asking. I have been hard at work with Jacob Graham of the Creatures of Yes. There's going to be so much new Creatures of Yes stuff coming up. The best place to catch it is on the Creatures of Yes YouTube channel. You can just search Creatures of Yes, and it will be the Vintage Puppet Show that appears. So there's going to be a new four-part series about artificially induced hauntings in November. And then in December, we'll be releasing our first feature-length movie. We don't know how long it is, but it's probably an hour. So yeah. And it's about queer stuff and puppets and life and death and other dimensions.
Will it answer the question of what water feels like?
There's just no knowing, when I touch water, does it feel the same way as when you touch water? All we can use to compare is words, and who knows if the words we're saying are signifiers for the same things.
All those questions and more on the Creatures of Yes. Uh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out and talking about this stuff. That was a blast.
Oh, absolutely. It was a joy and a pleasure.
And folks, stay tuned in future weeks for even more of 70 Years, 70 Muppets.
"70 Years, 70 Muppets" is a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com, hosted by a whole myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Jared Fairclough. The Muppets 70 logo used with permission by the Muppet Studio with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reif Snyder and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow toughpigs.com on all social media platforms. You can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or buying a t-shirt at tpublic.com/toughpigs.